everybody, here's how I stash my yarn on Ravelry. It's a great way to keep track of what you have and also to source it to patterns and manage what you're gonna knit. It's so easy to let your stash get away from you. And if you stash your yarn every time you bring it into your house, every time you buy it, it makes it a lot easier. So before I took this video, I went shopping. I bought a skein of Dream Yarn Classy at Rose of Pearl. And I took a photo of it on my phone. I'm going to show you that photo in just a minute. Okay, so that's what I did before this video. So now you can watch how I stash my yarn. So I log onto Ravelry and I come over, I'm going to move me over to my notebook and I come down to stash. Okay, now I have a lot of stash yarn. Don't judge me. But this is all yarn I own that I've taken pictures and logged into Ravelry, okay? So I'm gonna add a new one by coming over the left-hand screen and doing add to stash. And the first thing it asks me is, where did I get the yarn from? Okay, so I'm picking local yarn store because that's my favorite place to get yarn. And then I've got to enter two important things. One is the name of the stash yarn, and the other one is the yarn company brand name. So for me, the yarn I have is Dream in Color, which is the brand. And the actual yarn is called Classy Worsted. So in the name of the stash yarn, I'm going to type in Classy. And under brand name, I'm going to type in Dream in Color. And most of your brands are going to come up in here, okay? Now you have the option to log where you purchased it. If I'm being honest, I don't always do that part. I do it for the stores that I'm close to, that I support. Sometimes I just forget to do it. It really helps the stores though. By logging that you bought it from a store, it increases that store's visibility and it shows on Ravelry that they carry that yarn. So it's really helpful to help out your local yarn store. So I bought it Rose of Pearl, so I'm going to click that right there. These are all stores that I have shopped at recently. So if it was a new store to me, I would have just typed in the store name and where it is, and it would have pulled it up. So Rose of Pearl, and now I can hit continue. Okay, so now it comes up with 3 different yarns from Dream in Color because they've got variety. Now mine is this top one, Classy from Dream in Color, and I can see that there are, wow, almost 30,000 projects in that yarn. Talk about popular yarns. So I'm going to hit choose this yarn. Now this brings me to the yarn information screen. I can add as much or as little information here as I want, okay? Starting with colorway. So I can read right from my yarn label what my color name was. In my case, it's Jessamine. Now your popular yarns will have it all listed. Less popular yarns, you might have to type in the name or you can skip the name altogether. So as I look, my yarn name must be a new yarn color because it is not here. Huh. So I'm going to type it in. So Jessamine. And then I can put in here like the closest color so I know like what it is. So in my case, mine's like a blue-white. So I'm going to say blue. And then here it already populated how much yarn is on my skein. So I'm just going to say that I bought 1 skein. It comes up as purchase at Rose of Pearl. I can record when I bought it. It was yesterday. I can record how much. I can also put in the die lot, which can be really helpful sometimes. So my die lot number was 523. And then if you're really organized, which I'm not, you can put like stored in like bin in the dining room, bin in the attic, basket by my chair, okay? And I can also write notes in here. Now, some people write in these notes, bought for boyfriend hat, which by the way is a pattern. It's not for my actual boyfriend. Or I can do something else I'm going to show you later, which I think is more helpful than just typing in boyfriend. Now I can do save from stash, and what that will do is it'll just put it in there without a photo or anything. I like to go to my photos and just upload the photo. But let's say I went and I binge shopped and I bought this same yarn in 3 different colors. I would hit add a colorway right here, and then I can add multiple ones, and it makes it easier than typing all the information we did. It already pulls what yarn it is, where I bought it, and you just have to change the color. But For now, we're just doing one. So I'm going to go to photos. And this will bring me to the upload photo screen. So I'm going to go to choose files and go into my photos. And here's the photo I took this morning. Okay, so there's my photo. I like what it looks like. So I'm gonna hit finished with photos. And now there it is. There's my awesome stash yarn. So now if I go back to my stash and I scroll down, currently it listed by alphabetical. You have a couple ways to filter it. Dream and color, awesome. Okay, so why did I do all this work? Because now I have record of it, right? And if I'm shopping a pattern that uses that yarn, it will tell me that I own that yarn. So for example, we're gonna look at the boyfriend hat that I mentioned. So this is the boyfriend hat by Stephanie Nicole Bennett. It's just a cute little ribbed hat that's perfect for a guy. And here it says suggested yarn, Mission Falls 1824 wool. And then it says in my stash, 8 ideas. So if I click 8 ideas, these are 8 yarns that are in my stash that I could use. Here's my dream and color right there, right? So this tells me 36 people have used that yarn to make this sweater, or sorry, hat. And it tells me the colorway that I have is Jessamine, which is what we just added. So that's awesome. It also tells me how much yarn I have, which can be helpful if you're looking at sweaters this way, okay? So that's one awesome feature of having stash, right? But here's the other one. Let's say I bought that yarn specifically to do something, okay? In this case, I'm gonna say I bought it to do this awesome sock called Fuchsia, okay? It's so easy to buy yarn for a purpose. You print out a pattern or whatever, you put it in the plastic bag, and then you forget that you bought it for that purpose and you end up using the yarn for something else, or you end up buying more yarn for the same pattern, okay? That's why Ravelry has the queue, right? So you're all familiar with favorites. You tag something in your favorites, and your favorites end up being, for me, it's like 10,000 favorites, right? But then you have a queue. The idea of a queue is things you're going to knit that you're planning on knitting, okay? So I can add a project to the queue like my Fuchsia, right? So add to queue. And then this screen comes up that's really helpful, right? So it says use this yarn, using this yarn, okay? I can type in the yarn I want to buy for it if I have a plan, or I have this awesome use stash yarn. So if I click that, it comes up with my whole stash and recommended yarns that would work from my stash to make this pattern, okay? Surprisingly enough, my yarn did not come up because the pattern calls for Aaron and my classy is considered worsted. So it automatically defaults to the weight of the pattern, but you can go to all yarn weights, and then I just typed in classy. And then I'm just gonna click use. And now that's gonna link the yarn to the pattern in my queue. And I can type anything else I want in here, who I'm gonna make it for, when do I need it done by. I can put in notes like, saw this awesome sock on NJ Woolwalk 2022, okay? And then I can save and adjust position, which means like you rank them on your queue. That's up to you. I don't really worry about the numbers. I just want it there. So save changes. Okay, now you're like, what, this queue thing? Where's this queue thing? So if I come over here to my notebook, you know, I've got my projects, the things I've made. Queue is my queue. So I'm going to go over to my queue. And this is my queue, which is like 4 pages long. Again, don't judge. You love me. Click on number 4 because that's the end of my queue. And I'm just going to scroll down. And there it is. So Fuchsia calls for Art Yarn Super Merino. I'll use Dream and Color Classy Jessamine, right? So then it's all there ready to go, and I have record of that. It makes it so much easier, and now I know what works, okay? But again, the other perk of stash is not only do I know what I own, but then I can look up a pattern like Andrea Maury's The Shift. We all know it. It's a very popular pattern. And here, right now, it tells me in my stash, there's 22 ideas, which actually kind of surprises me, that I can use for shift. And these are all different yarns people have used for the shift before. Malabrigo sock 52 times, Rios 155 times, where something like my Dream and Classy that we just added, people have only used it 7 times. So it gives me a lot of information and allows me to really maximize the use of the yarn I own. Okay. And this is all on Ravelry. It's all really easy. Personally, I think what you do is you go shopping, you come home, you snap some pictures, and then you load it into your stash that night. So it's just done and ready. When you knit the project from your queue and make the project page, it will pull the yarn from your stash and the project from your queue. So when you finish it, it's not in your queue anymore, and you don't have to worry about the yarn being in your stash. It's a great, system for using the information properly. So again, this is how I use stash my yarn in Ravelry. If you've got any questions, leave a comment and get stashing. Make your life easier.